Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline for Pixie Dust PhD, and this is our travel day. It's actually kind of a two-parter. So we left our home in the DC metro area on Friday midday. We worked like a half day in the morning to the early afternoon. And then around 1 o'clock, we packed all of our things and our doggo up in the car and we drove down to Adam's parents in Carolina. That's anywhere from like a 4 to 8 hour drive depending on traffic. 7 or 8 is like really bad torrential rainstorm situation. I don't think we've ever done it in 4. I've done it in 4.5 once, but it's super rare. So this took about 6 hours. So that's definitely worse than average, but it wasn't like the absolute worst. Between DC and Richmond was just crazy bad traffic. But we made it down to North Carolina eventually, checked into our hotel, we got some food with friends, and then we dropped our doggo off with Adam's parents. It's gonna be sad to not see her for 2 weeks, but I know that she'll be well taken care of, and also Adam's parents will send us pics and stuff, so at least there's that. We stayed at a hotel near the airport, woke up, got hotel breakfast, packed up all our things, and now we're here at the airport and it's super dead, so empty, all of the flights are on time, everything's going really well so far. It's a pretty short flight from here to MCO, so before you know it, we will be in Orlando. And then the plan is that we will stop at a Target to get some supplies, sodas, waters, snacks, stuff like that. Anything we forgot, although I'm pretty sure we packed everything we need. So far we haven't thought of anything else. And then we're going to go ahead and head to our hotel at the Universal Orlando Resort and try to sneak in a few hours at the theme parks. Universal Studios Park does close early tonight for Halloween Horror Nights, and we are absolutely not doing that. I am a huge, big chicken. But Islands of Adventures does stay open till 10, so at least there's that. We also booked an Orlando Magical Dining reservation over at the kitchen at the Hard Rock, so that should be fun, and we will see you in Orlando.
Hi friends, it's about 2 p.m. now on Saturday, our arrival day, so the flight went fine. It landed on time, which was great. Actually, we probably landed a little bit early, but with deplaning and taxiing to the gate and everything, we got off on time. It was a completely full flight, which was perhaps not my favorite as my first return to flying after, well, during the pandemic, but I haven't flown since January of 2020, so that was a little bit tight, but we didn't have to check any of our carry-on bags, which is what matters most. Then at MCO Airport, we got our rental car. That was a process. It took 35 minutes or so. And then it turns out that we have a Volkswagen Beetle, which we were not expecting. We paid for the economy class, I believe. We paid for whatever the second cheapest class is. So I think it goes compact is the lowest and then economy. And the example cars for economy was like Kia Soul. And basically all of them except for the Beetle were a 4-door car, which so we were expecting a 4-door car. That's what we wanted. And that's why we paid for the upgrade. The bug is 2 doors. It's not the end of the world. We just do have quite a lot of luggage that we are hauling between quite a lot of hotel changes. So it's gonna be a little bit harder on the old back, throwing them in and out of the back seat without that 4-door setup. Currently, Adam's inside of Target. I am here in the car watching our stuff because I refuse to let anything happen to it. We can't have it get stolen. I don't want the car to get broken into. All of it does not fit in the back of a Bug, obviously. So yeah, I'm chilling in the car. Adam's in Target doing a quick run, just getting a bunch of water, some sodas, some snack bars, maybe some seltzer. And then we'll drive to our Universal hotel. So for the first couple nights, we are staying at the DoubleTree across the street. So it's DoubleTree by Hilton at the entrance of Universal Orlando Resort or something like that. We've stayed there before. It was nice. I think it has been remodeled since then, so I'll be interested to see how the rooms are now. And since we've last been here, I'm pretty sure there's a pedestrian walkway that goes above a giant street. It might be iDrive, I'm honestly not sure. Last time you had to cross it, and there was a crosswalk, but it still was kind of scary, so it's nice that there's that pedestrian bridge. But yeah, so we're heading to the hotel. We will drop all of our things off, freshen up a little bit, and then head into Universal for a little half day at the parks. First up though, I think we're probably going to get a snack because we're quite hungry. We flew Southwest and they don't normally sell food on their flights, so we knew that going in, and we did buy a small sandwich to split on the plane from the airport, which was fine, but airport food's never that great, and also it's pretty expensive. We did also have breakfast at the hotel this morning, but just feeling a little hungrier than usual with all of the commotion and action and a little bit of stress. I think we might go get a bao bun from City Walk, so I'm definitely excited about that. Now that we're in Orlando, it finally feels like we're on vacation. Definitely yesterday with the drive down from DC to Carolina. Pretty stressful, pretty not fun. Definitely did not feel like vacation yet, but now that we're through the airport, we have all of our things. I'm very happy. It feels good to be on our trip.
A few moments later.
Please, watch your step.
That kept me romantic!
We are back at the hotel now after our travel day / arrival day. We did about a half day in the theme parks over at Universal Orlando. We are very tired. We're already in our PJs, we're showered. I'm obviously wearing my glasses, I've got my retainer in, like we're pretty beat for the day, and it was only a half day.
It was a big half day.
Yeah, so after our Target run, we came to the DoubleTree at the entrance of Universal. It's across the street. Our room was already ready, so that was nice. We came up with all of our things, got settled in a little bit, took a small break, but really like pretty small, just freshened up, and then we headed out to City Walk. I was pretty hungry, so we got a snack at the new bao place. We got 3 baos. One was beef brisket, one was crispy pork belly, and one was duck. They were all good. I think Adam and I both agreed that the pork belly taste-wise was the best one.
Yeah, it was definitely hot. It's very much Russian roulette in terms of, is your bao going to be fresh or hot or not? But I think we got lucky on that one. But it's definitely a hit or miss type of food.
Yeah, so the bun itself on the crispy pork belly was warm and like soft and correct, and then the duck one was like straight up cold. The brisket one was somewhere in between, but even filling wise, I just think like pork tasted the best.
Yeah, it was just like sitting in a cast iron, like staying warm.
Yeah,
it was tasty.
But in terms of bang for your buck, I think you got more protein, like more filling from the beef brisket one. So if you're only going to get one, I guess I might place my bets on that one.
And you have to get two.
I don't think you have to get two. I think it's just like a slightly better deal. But yeah, that was like $18 after tax, just a little under. So they're about $6 each. I don't really think that's necessarily worth it, but it is a good snack, and obviously like we were pressed for time and everything. After that, we made our way into Studio. So it was closing at 5 today for Halloween Horror Nights. By the time we got to the hotel, got a little bit settled, walked over. The walk takes about 20 minutes to get to security at City Walk, and then you still have, the way from City Walk into the parks. But the nice thing is, well, we went late at a weird time, but just in general, like that security entrance is usually pretty empty because for the most part, people are in the garage and you're not using that same checkpoint. So yeah, 20-minute walk over. The first part's pretty brutal. It was very in the sun. It was super hot, very muggy. It's a pretty brutal day. The second part, you turn a corner and there's like more trees, more shade. It's a little better, but we can handle the walk for sure, but I understand, I guess, why people don't want to do that.
Yeah, you have to be resilient and have a lot of grit to withstand the summer sun in Florida for the better part of, half a mile.
Yeah, and then the full walk is easily over a mile,
Right.
into the theme parks itself.
Yeah.
You're just not drenched in the sun for that entire time. But we live in a swampy climate. It's not as bad as it is here, but we're sort of used to it. And then we also live in a city that really emphasizes pedestrians, so we walk a lot, like in our day-to-day lives. So it's not too bad for us. But anyway, yes, we did the walk. We got our snack. By the time we made it into the theme park, it was probably about 4 o'clock. It was really hot. We were really hot, so we went to go get a frozen butterbeer. It was a very crowded day. I mean, today's a Saturday, and it's Labor Day weekend, so we knew it would be crowded. But yeah, it was really crowded. There were lines for everything. We found a slightly shorter line for frozen butterbeer. That was tasty. It's basically like cream soda, but frozen. And yeah, a little more butterscotch. It is really sweet, so we just split one, and I'm very glad about that because I do not think I could have contained one all on my own. Like, it's too much sugar for me.
Yeah, but getting brain freeze on a 95-degree humid Florida day felt bad but good.
Yeah, hung out in Nocturne Alley and got some of that AC while we were getting our brain freeze on. Did some magic. We have a wand from 2015?
16.
No, we didn't come in 2016.
Late 2015.
Yeah, like this time of year, like September.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we brought our wand, so we did some magic.
Still good.
Still good. Still
magical.
Works. We're still honorary Hogwarts alums. And then we were sort of walking out, and the Fast and Furious ride was only a 15-minute wait. Neither of us have done that before, so we decided to do it. We walked straight into the pre-show. And then from the pre-show to the actual ride probably was about 15 minutes.
Yeah,
so.
It was pretty accurate.
It was a fine ride. It's like nothing to write home about, but for a 15-minute wait, I was happy with it. I've seen 0 minutes, 0 seconds of the Fast and Furious franchise, so I have like nothing to go off of in terms of like, oh, I really love these characters, the storyline, or anything.
I mean, they definitely throw some of their choice, like, character-specific quotes in there.
The family thing, I know that.
Oh yeah, other than that, right? Like, every character has like their own catchphrase, and they were definitely like dropping them.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of the movies, very fun ride and little Easter eggs to, that made a good time.
If it's a short wait, like, I would do it again. I mean, it's pretty air conditioned. I thought the pre-show parts with the like actual human team members were funny. Like, there were some good jokes, some good quips, and then the ride itself was like, bye. But of note, I guess it is sort of a simulator ride. I mean, you're in a big vehicle and it does move, but you are surrounded by screens for most of it. I get motion sick pretty easily, and I was fine on this ride. Like,
it's easier than Star Tours.
Yeah, easier than Star Tours, easier than Simpsons. Like, I was fine. I did take a Dramamine this morning, which helps, but like.
But even subjectively, okay. I think it was like exactly how you said.
Yeah.
In terms of compared to those other rides.
Yeah, it really wasn't that bad. So if any of you like have done the the Hogwarts ride or whatever where you want to hurl, like, it's nothing like that. So that's good. So yeah, we did that ride and then we moseyed on out. I guess of note, I don't pay attention to Halloween Horror Nights at all because that's not my jam. But when we went into the park at 4, and again, the park was closing at 5, there were huge sections in the middle of the park that were just like gated off and you couldn't walk through. So you had to do these huge like loops around things. I think those were for Stay and Scream for Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, they were letting people in who had day passes and also Halloween Horror Night passes. They were letting them into that gated area.
Yeah, no, I think they purchased like a different thing to like because there's all the people who have Halloween Horror passes that are outside of the park,
Right, they
But
don't
then there's like
understand
this stay and scream thing where like while the park is closed, you get in your little corral area while they set Halloween Horror Nights up and you stay there, and then you're like first out of the gates like once it's officially open. But anyway, so I had no idea that it would be so hard to traverse the park. Like I knew the park was closing early, but I didn't know that even before that time, like key walkways were cut off, which kind of was not great.
Yeah.
But anyway, just something to note in case you are going, which is funny because we have been during fall, like during Halloween Horror Nights time frame before, and I don't recall this being a thing, but we haven't come recently during this time, so it's probably that. So we were part of the huge mass exodus of everyone not staying for Halloween Horror Nights, and sort of moseyed our way over to Islands. We were very lackadaisical about it. We were pretty tired and like not pushing by any means, but there were a lot of people, like a lot. So we went to Islands and, we checked the app for wait times and we were looking at the rides themselves for wait times, and pretty much everything was 45 minutes or over. Like One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish was 55 minutes, I think, and the Seuss Trolley was 45 minutes, and then, your bigger rides were like 130 minutes, and it was very crowded.
What made it worse is the Velocicoaster was delayed.
The Velocicoaster was down the entire
down.
time we were in the parks. So when I had checked, I think, right when we got to the hotel or maybe right before, like in the car, and it was like a 35-minute wait. That was the big thing I was hoping to get done today, was to ride Velocicoaster, but since we entered the theme parks, it had been in delay, so it was just down the whole time.
It wasn't even an option.
Yeah, we couldn't have waited in line even had we wanted to. So we just did a lap around Islands and stopped in a bunch of shops and looked at the cute things and took in the atmosphere. It was really crowded. Like there was no option for us to distance at all. Like while we were outside, there were just so many people. So we did keep our masks on like 95% of the time. It was easier to do than I was anticipating, honestly. So I'm pretty happy about that. Like I didn't find them to be uncomfortable. I didn't find it to be hard to breathe at all, even in the humidity, even with all the crowds. So that worked out pretty well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. After our lap, we made our way back out to City Walk, and then we took a boat over to the Hard Rock Hotel. That was fun. We got really lucky with boat timing. They were like pulling up right as we were getting ready to get in line. So then they disembarked, the people who were currently on the boats, and then we got to load pretty fast. And the boat ride itself only took like 3 minutes. The whole thing, since we were in line, was only like 10 or 12 minutes.
Yeah, it was super convenient and easy.
Yeah.
I can imagine why people who stay on property love to take boats.
Yeah, we did get really lucky with the timing of the boat that we didn't have to wait for one, but that worked out great. So we headed over to Hard Rock Hotel. We went to the Velvet Bar/lounge. We had a few drinks. That was cool. Our bartender, Sandra, was really nice. Drinks were really delicious. It's a little pricey, but I mean, it's a bar and
At a hotel?
Yeah, it's at a hotel, and on top of that, it's a theme park hotel, so no surprises there. After that, we had made, previously while we were at home, we had made a reservation for the kitchen at Hard Rock Hotel. They were participating in Orlando's Magical Dining month. I don't know how long it is. In DC, where we're from, Restaurant Week is a week. So we'll probably just call it Restaurant Week. But yeah, so you got 3 courses for $37. So it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and it was tasty.
All the food was really good, and I'm sure that they are short-staffed, but service is kind of a joke. It took from us being seated and putting our order in to us getting dessert, so there's an appetizer, an entree, and dessert, that took an hour and a half. And we weren't eating slow by any means, so there was a lot of waiting around between courses, which was pretty frustrating, and there were some other small things, like my wine pour was a lot smaller than Adam's, like easily a half ounce, if not an ounce. Which doesn't really make sense to me because the glasses have a little etched mark on it of like where you're supposed to pour, and mine was like way below that. So that was a little bit frustrating, and we both got steaks. The petite filet mignon was one of the entree options, and we both asked for it to be medium rare, and Adam's was medium rare, and mine was like medium, which doesn't really make sense to me, but whatever. And then just another weird thing to know, in general, we have Sprint cell phone service, which is now merged with T-Mobile, and we like did not have service, like hardly anywhere at the hotel, but definitely not at the restaurant.
No.
But we sat outside. It was a really lovely night after the sun went down. It was super nice, and also the inside was freezing. So outside was a nice option for temperature, as well as distancing and being outside for COVID reasons, and that was lovely. And the food was really genuinely very good, and we both had a glass of red wine to go with our steaks, so
that was a nice night.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Enjoyed ourselves.
Certainly better than theme park foods. It's a little more expensive, but for 3 courses, I think $37 genuinely. The portions were bigger than we thought they would be. Back home at Restaurant Week, very often those portions are kind of nerfed and you get like these tiny little bites, but these seemed like pretty normal size. So I had Brussels sprouts for the appetizer, and I don't eat a lot of Brussels sprouts because they're usually very bad, but these were fantastic. Like, best Brussels sprouts I've ever had. Steak was very good, desserts were very good, and mine was large, so.
Yeah, it's good. Don't much more to add beyond that.
All right, so yeah, then we just walked back to the DoubleTree. It's not the most pedestrian friendly, I don't know, maybe whole city, at least this part of the city. There's not like sidewalks on both sides of the street, for example, so we did a little bit of jaywalking. But it was fine, and it was certainly a shorter jaunt to walk back from Hard Rock to the DoubleTree than to go back to City Walk and then walk from there.
Yeah. It's definitely, like Jacqueline said, not pedestrian friendly, but we made the most of it, and we were careful, and we were opportunistic.
Yeah,
and
it was fine.
It was fine.
Yep. Yeah, now we're back at the hotel. We've obviously showered, we're ready for bed. We are just currently soaking our feet because they are pretty sore. Tomorrow, I think the plan is to wake up a little bit early to rope drop Islands of Adventures, try to freaking get on the Velocicoaster, and then get in the virtual queue for Hagrid's. Those are like the 2 things we want to do the most for this part of the trip. So we're trying to get it done. And I mean, tomorrow's Sunday, it's still Labor Day weekend. I'm sure it'll be crowded, but like hopefully we can get there before the crowds and then take our midday break during the hottest part of the day. Whereas today, arguably, we were like walking to the theme park during probably the hottest part of the day. It was pretty miserable. So yeah, tomorrow should be a good day, and
we'll see.
I am looking forward to it. It's our first night in this DoubleTree since 2015. I do think it's been remodeled. The room is really nice. We'll see how the bed is. We'll report back tomorrow. And if I have time, we'll do a room tour just briefly so you can see everything. But yeah, there's plenty of outlets. There's USB plugs. We have cable on the TV. We got a room on the 18th floor, which is the second to the top. So we're just below the penthouse, which is awesome. Views, nothing spectacular, but we didn't pay for a nice view, so that's totally fine.
All right, that's all I got.
Okay, well, yeah, that was our travel day and our arrival day, where we did sort of a half day at the theme parks, although we only got on one ride. But that was my choice. We just didn't want to wait in like an hour-long line to go ride Cat in the Hat. No offense to Cat in the Hat. Great ride. I'm sure we'll ride it, but just not with an hour-long wait.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're a little more productive in the next few days.
Yeah.
And yeah, good first day. Feels like we're on vacation now.
Finally. Yeah.
Okay, talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.